shout out to Hoops Jargon, man. I'm gonna add you to the crew, man. This crew called Hoops Jargon. They've been getting at it, man. They the ones that's gonna grill you, man, because they majority all Houston people. So that's
shout out to Hoops Jargon. Shout out to
Hoops Jargon.
What's up, everybody? Your boy Hoop Jargon back with another video, man. And we got a dope live for you today. And I got my alumni garb on because it's homecoming weekend. I'm mad I can't be in Houston. Right now, I'm actually in the pool area of my apartment because I got some cleaning people in there doing their thing. And I'm letting them do their thing while I do my thing. That makes sense. But yeah, shout out to my alumni, Prairie View A&M University. I hope y'all have a great weekend. I hope y'all have a little less fun because I ain't there, goddammit. But anywho, for the start of the show, man, I'm going to bring my boy Dain up, man. Y'all know he needs no introduction, but just in case you don't know who this man, this is an NBA scout here. So we can talk about the rigors of making it to the NBA, man. So Dain, without further ado, what's going on, my boy?
Cliff, what's good with you, baby?
Oh, man, you know, I'm out here kind of struggling, man. It's not cold out here in LA, man. So the jacket going to come on at some point, but I'm purpled out right now, man. So I'm trying to do my thing, man. How you living?
Now, I'm trying to read your lips. Can you hear me clear? Because you're coming through choppy. I can't. You're going like, I couldn't hear nothing you said. I know you said something about PV because you probably grabbed your hat. But other than that, I don't know what you said.
Oh, man. Well, I hear you fine. Dang.
Well, it might be the connection where I'm at.
Okay, it may sync up. Anywho, what's up, bro?
Hello?
Yeah, I hear you.
But that's what I'm saying. I can't hear you. I don't know if it's the headphones. I don't know if it's you with the headphones on or not, or it could be my Wi-Fi. But
can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
All right, let's try the headphones one more again. What about now?
I can hear you now.
All right, bet. Okay, maybe I need to unplug it. Unplug and replug. There we go, baby. Build while you fly.
You good. But right. I'm glad to be here. I appreciate you having me on your platform. We always have a great, exchange with everything. And definitely you've been a support over the years in my own journey of what I've been doing. And it's weird because, support can always come from, to the truest form, we're probably strangers. Friends is being nice. We have a lot of common things, but, our parents don't know one another. Our siblings don't. We never ate at each other's crib, but it's been a genuine and a mutual love from day one. So in knowing that and receiving that, that's one thing I think many of the younger generation and even some of our peers have to understand in your own personal journey of what you're going through. It may not always be the closest person that could help with one call or a snap of a finger. It often, your support may come from the type of relationships that you and I have, that is just somebody who wants to see you win. And I think that is probably, you cherish that probably more because you don't have to. You don't have to have me on your platform. You don't have to celebrate the triumphs I've had in my own personal journey and other people as well. You don't have to do that, but you do. So people have to recognize those relationships in your own personal journey and know that those are the ones that are truly supportive, in more ways than one.
Man, I gotta say that is a poignant statement because there's people who I quote unquote close to came up with that I gotta knock them down and drag them out to, support something or like be a part of something. And that's true. And I will say one thing about Dain is I never got to twist his arm. Dain be ready. He just like make the day work and I'm on. And so I will say that is a very genuine conversation point. And that's something how we've been doing for about a good 6 years, I want to say. 7?
Yeah. It might be 7 because I was, people don't know the Walter Mitty era of me on Let me tell y'all something, man. This is what I do social media, as Cliff can truly attest. It's addictive. So I joined Hoop Jargon probably right around the time I started my scouting service. This is before my Nike days. But then the Nike opportunity came about and people were telling me about major corporations. And I even, shout out to Nike as a brand. I had to look something up and realizing it's like one of the top 40 companies in the world. Like, and from a athletic standpoint is number one, but like I don't think people really get the gist of that because there's so many companies, and I'm talking about across all brands, not counting the conglomerates like LVMH, like that's a conglomerate with so many brands within it. But for Nike as an individual brand, and I do believe it was number one in that top 40 American brand, like they go through certain background checks and they're thorough about who
Absolutely.
they're hiring. So
Absolutely.
when I was going through the hiring process, and I learned a lot in a lot of ways that I took a incognito social media cleanse, as I would like to call it.
Yeah.
I stayed away from about 5 weeks, and man, when I tell you, it was just calling me, y'all. Social media was under like, and at that time, Facebook was jumping. So
Yeah.
Facebook had Twitter, had Instagram. Facebook was the it place to be. I mean, I had to have it. So I called Cliff and I said, yo, I don't want to violate, the terms and the policies of your group, but I gotta have it. I said, but listen, I'm gonna be under I guess burner account as we all know it. And to all our avid readers out there, you're familiar with Walter Mitty.
Yeah.
And I forgot who snitched on me, but somebody snitched on me, reported me, and I had to prove that my name was Walter Mitty, so they deaded the account. But by that point, the job process was over. I got the job, so then I just came back as myself. So people don't know there was like 2 phases to me in hoop jogging. So this is like you said, now it's been about like a 6-7 year run, but it was a run maybe a year and a half, 2 before that. But I had just took that break. So
Yeah.
that
was fun times, man. Fun times to be alive, bro.
That was definitely a time to be alive.
Yeah, man. And what he's alluding to is again, Hoop Jogging, the Facebook group it's been around about 10 years now.
Yep.
I think November 17th, which is my birthday, makes 10 years officially of that group being around, and so much has gone through it, man. And now this is the second iteration with Hoop Jargon, the online presence, which for about a year and a half has been doing its thing, man. And so we want to keep that train rolling. And so when the Hoop Jargon OGs, Dain, showing love to the channel like he always does, man, and giving y'all those jewels of knowledge, man, that you need to know, especially on this topic right here, goddamn it, because y'all be wilding. And we talking pre-show. And the reason why I got Dain on here is so y'all can understand that when you start to have these discussions about NBA players and the words trash gets thrown around, the words everybody's a GOAT, you start to you dismiss other people's errors. So when you compare players, there's a lot of context missed. So I just wanted to walk y'all through what it looks like from inception to the NBA, from somebody whose opinion I trust more than anybody's. And that's going to be from Dain, man. So any prelim talk you got before we just jump straight into it?
No, I think for number one, this conversation is in no way, shape, or form to dismiss, disrespect, or disregard anyone's view of their favorite player, favorite era, favorite team. I'm just here to add probably, I guess, the professional context to actually evaluating. It's funny because I've been saying this a lot. You can follow me all on Clubhouse, BR Reports. I used to have a pretty popular room called Basketball Illuminati. Well, 94 by 50 presents Basketball Illuminati. And we had real experienced basketball minds from NBA champions, collegiate champions, NBA front office, college head coaches, assistant coaches, high school coaches, and even we kind of left college and high school players out, but current NBA players and all. And something that I learned when it comes to the conversation of basketball that people try to inflict is other people's opinion as if it's theirs. I laugh at Clubhouse because it's a great platform, it's an active site where these conversations are being held with different people across the world. But it's so ironic how people's opinions are so strong after First Take goes off, after Standing and Skip goes off, after my man that looked like Shaka Smart, Nick Wright goes off, and nobody has nothing to say immediately after the game goes off.
Yeah.
And I think that's to what you alluded to about the comments that people make about someone being trash or not being good. It's often someone else's opinion. A person who says that about a player, understanding the highest of levels being the NBA, how hard it is to get there, how hard it is to stay. I can't find an active player that's had multiple contracts for you to call them trash. Someone on a
Yeah,
rookie scale may not be that good. They may not be NBA ready, but they're not trash. Someone who's a vet that just may not be as popular as your Devin Bookers, your Chris Pauls, your LeBron James, Kevin Durant's. Well, if they're trash, they wouldn't be there for 8, 9 years.
Jeff Green.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we
Yeah,
talking about?
yeah,
So you have to be careful in what you're saying. Now, somebody can not be your cup of tea. Cool, that's fine. Say that. Give that preference first, and then say what you want. Cool. But like when you just allude to, man, he trash, he sucks, and then you and I both know the dreadful. Well, it's my opinion.
yeah.
I promise you, I've had to explain to people so many times, and they don't like when I say it. But if we understand what an opinion is, your opinion can be wrong if you gather the wrong information on said individual. It can be wrong, but nobody wants to say that because they want to say, well, it's mine. Yeah, it's yours, but if someone introduces new facts to you and your opinion doesn't change, then
Yeah,
that shows you the ignorance in you.
yeah.
That shows the lack of education in you because that's not how that works. That's not how that works.
That's
So
facts.
that's just my only thing. But in the breaking down of any player,
Salute and
position,
learn, man.
era, I have no problem or issues with those. I'm all for that. It's just all about is the individual receiving this. Are they going to listen? You know what I'm saying? Because you and I both know people just be quick to they're listening to respond and not listening to understand. Because
Oh
I
yeah.
don't think you love your Cowboys. I used to love my Giants. There's nothing I can tell you, factual included, that's going to change how you feel, which is cool, and vice versa for me. There's nothing, my man, Lydia, and I owe you a call, Lydia. Please forgive me. I've been
That's a
traveling.
great quote, actually. Fingers
No,
allowed the
I
first take.
gotta I definitely gotta give her a call. I do owe her a call because she is one of the sharper minds,
Yeah,
and
for
I
sure.
said that to her. I guess when the news was announced for me, and when I got a chance to kind of see my surroundings, knowing her mind, she can do this job, and I think we're starting to see a wave of it. We have Swin Cash, we have a young lady that's in Boston, that's in the scouting department. You are going to see more females come into this space, and I think can provide an impact. They can provide a huge impact, and I trust Lydia. We've been around her long enough. It's funny
She
because
know her stuff, man.
we haven't physically met unless she was at that what was that Christmas joint you had out there in Mo City that one year? Unless she was there.
Drunkenness.
Yeah, drunkenness. Unless she was there.
She was there. She made a turnaround trip to that trip, as a matter of fact.
Wow, she's a
Yeah,
go for that. But
man. Yeah.
I will definitely I wanna break bread with her with that because it's something that if she wants to do it, I definitely can help point her in the right directions and the things that she would just have to provide. But I mean, she can hold her own for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. I've been knowing her for upwards almost about 10 years, somewhere around there. Yeah.
Right.
Has talked to her in person many times. Yeah, I'm with you all the way on that. Shout out to Tanyika, man. So now I like a few things you said. And before we get into that role, one is that people are so scared to be wrong that you wait until another talking head validates a sentiment that you may align yourself with, and you run with it, and then you use that as an example. One thing I've never been afraid to be is put my opinion out there quick. Now, not quick, but put it out there once I assess that, all right, I see it this way, I'm gonna put it out there. And then we know the classic thumb maker, wave I jumped on. It didn't work out. That's okay. It's okay because you're not gonna hit 1,000. You're never gonna bat a
No,
thousand.
never,
You're
never,
never gonna bat 1,000. So,
never.
but nobody wants to put themselves out there because then people gonna throw it back in your face, and you gotta just be ready for that. But you gotta hit on something else too. Now, hey, for
Yep.
every thumb maker critique, I told you about LaMelo Ball like very early. I told you
Right.
about Luka Doncic very early. Porzingis very early. So I mean, it is what it is, man. You got to take all the lumps. And secondly, with the calling people trash in the context missing aspect, what you see is lack of information and lack of scope and lack of respect for the level of the individual of the level of the league. And one thing y'all know me on this channel, I'm not a big Russell Westbrook guy, but you will never see the word trash come out of my mouth ever, ever. I think his way of winning is not conducive to winning, but I will not ever say that man can't play basketball. I'll never say that man has not accomplished a lot. But some people take it that way because they're used to delving into that type of rolling in the mud, as it were, when you start critiquing guys. And I just don't, at least publicly, at least while not inebriated. That's not how I roll. You know, sometimes when you're eating good, drinking good, all kind of stuff can fly out your mouth. But in normal conversation, absolutely, I would never disrespect a guy who made to the highest level. And we're gonna kind of walk through why it's so important to not speak that way against guys who made to that level, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I
appreciate
think,
your wealth engineering.
I think first and foremost, it's like I think people get in their feelings about certain people for whatever reason. It could be from the biggest thing, he disrespected my son, didn't give him an autograph, to the smallest things. They attend a university that they just don't like. Sometimes it's so minuscule, they can't even tell you why they don't like said individual.
Oh, for sure.
But I always tell people that's okay. But then what you're not in a position to do at that point is to evaluate. If you cannot take your emotional piece out of someone to give a fair assessment, then you as an individual, you're not in a position, like your not necessarily credibility or what you're saying on said individual, it kind of holds no merit because you already showed your bias.
You're biased.
Like again, I wasn't the biggest Cowboy fan, but was Tony Romo effective? He was.
Absolutely.
Did he step up in the biggest moments?
No.
He didn't. But that didn't mean he still wasn't a great quarterback. You can't say that. But there's a group of individuals that you and I both know, oh man, Tony Romo sucks. No, he didn't suck. He just didn't elevate at the times he needed to elevate. Now, at the same time, I can say with my own side, I love Eli to death. Was he a super duper great quarterback amongst his peers of that era? No, but was he successful? Yes, he was successful. So you could be successful and not productive. You could be productive and not successful.
There you go.
And some people, they can't extract that.
Yep.
Or it takes this conversation for them to say, you know what? Yeah, he is right. But really good people can assess that on the fly. They can assess that immediately. And that's what put those individuals in said places to make those type of decisions.
And that's because those people have a standard. And I always say this when I get into these spaces and argue in these, you have to have a standard because it gives you a baseline and you can quickly assess and you can basically have polarities match up quicker because you know the standard. Right. If there's no standard, then you can just say anything about anything, and then there's no way to tether it down to reality. Right. And I think that is a very poignant point. I used that word twice in the stream. Shout out to my teacher, Ms. Roy, my English teacher back in high school, man. I learned the word poignant. And clearly
that's an SAT word. You have an SAT word for all our young followers, man. Well, you don't need the SAT no more, so never mind that. But no, that is a good call.
Yeah. So we're gonna hop into it, man. And guys, I know y'all got the NBA questions now. He does work for the Phoenix Suns, so we gonna try to keep it about the subject matter. I'll answer them for you. I don't give a damn. I'll tell you my opinion. Yeah, baseball looks.
Let me help everyone out.
Yeah, go ahead.
For sure. I'm not, of course, under no circumstance gonna speak about my organization and what we're actually doing. No, I'm not gonna. I'm not here to slander anyone in our division, in the league, for that matter. Now, no. But for what Cliff, what he explained to me in regards to just scouting and evaluating as a whole, I can do that. And just in its honesty of prospects and how do you assess that? Because I think another key thing, Cliff, and I don't want to leave this out. I've come to the term that I think all of us, yourself, myself, Lydia, we have to understand enthusiasts.
Yeah,
we have to understand when we recognize an enthusiast. An enthusiast is someone that can tell you the history of a program, the players, everyone. They're excited about it, but they have no context or texture of what's really going on. They can tell you when the next game is. They can tell you the stat line of the last game, but they don't understand a direction in which a franchise could be going.
Yes.
And with that, they could be loud and wrong, as we all know, with a lot of them. And you have to understand when you come across those individuals. because they can, when it comes to an actual factual stat, they're going to get you.
Yeah.
They're going to get you. But when you're talking about the game plan and the understanding of what's really going on,
the nuance,
exactly. That's where sometimes they get tripped up. And they'll loudly act like they know what they're talking about when in actuality, they wrong as two left shoes. So I think, that to me, for me personally, even, it was a category that I had to, you had the fan, and you have which fan is short for fanatic. So fan is probably a lesser version of a fanatic, and a more milder version of a fanatic. But then enthusiast is someone who's truly like, they're just all about that. Everyone loves to throw that savant thing around, and like I feel about in the music industry, you and I have had this conversation. Savants and geniuses are just not everywhere like that.
No, they're rare. They're very rare.
Exactly. So like it not necessarily it irks me, but it makes me feel a way when we hear it thrown around in music. Oh, Kanye's a genius. Dr. Dre's a genius. Dilla's a genius. Like, and it's just like, listen, man, it ain't that many geniuses, man. Like, y'all gotta be careful what you're saying. Somebody can be really, really talented. It can be really, really good at something. That doesn't necessarily make them a genius.
Yeah.
Like, it
I
doesn't.
agree with that.
Because if you're a musical genius, that means everything you do in that space of music is something you've never seen. It's perfect. They get it right. Like, they know what they're doing, and we know that's just not true. We know that's not true. So
yeah.
I think even with basketball, like, people, oh man, I'm a savant. Like, nah, I don't think so.
Probably not.
Yeah.
In your own mind, maybe.
So like my man said the other day, I would agree with you. We'll both be wrong though.
I love that.
You know what I'm saying?
Hey, that's stolen. That's good as stolen,
exactly.
Dog.
Like, it sounds, but no, that's not it. So I say that to say, like,
that's so funny.
It's in evaluating when I go in the gyms often, especially like when I started at the high school level. And I guess we can start there.
Hold on before you go, man. I know you long with it. Say, man, y'all get them likes up right now, man. Nobody else is giving you this type of quality content, man, from an NBA scout, man. Talent evaluator, man. Nobody else giving you this, man. It's just opinions all over the place, which is fine. That's okay. But we talking about qualified opinions. And everything Dain say may not be gospel, but God dog it is qualified and level enough for him to NBA to recognize his stuff. So you mean, y'all hit the like button real quick. If y'all want to, support the product that is Hoop Jargon. And I stole this from Little Big Nate, man. Shout out to Little Big Nate. If you want to support the product, man, you can super chat. You can hit that Cash App, and I will prioritize your comment if you do so. So we are unapologetically capitalists around this bitch. So, and Will, I'm going to ask you a question between the game sports, but you was about to go into the topic. So without further ado, Dain, go ahead and keep rocking, bro.
No, I did. I saw a couple of the questions too, because for some reason on this, my iPad, it doesn't give me the comments on the side like I would on my computer. But I mean, don't worry about that. But what I was going to say is, I think, one of the first things people have to understand with evaluating, especially like when you talk professional sports, you talk about collegiate sports that are on TV all the time, you're watching the best of the best.
Yes.
As an evaluator, I'll be the first to tell you, way before where I was now, you watch a lot of bad basketball. You watch a lot of bad basketball.
And let me say this: that's why I left coaching alone. I was like, oh my God, it's too much.
Like, to think that
my brain can't take all
I'm
that.
seeing a bunch of prospects going to Michigan, Oklahoma, UT, Baylor. No, you're not. You're watching some guys going to Wiley College. You're watching some guys going to St. Thomas. You're watching some guys go to Centenary. You're watching, like, so even you being a proud HBCU alum as well, Cliff, like, it kills me when people frown up at the HBCU level, but yet they'll go watch little Jimmy and Johnny play. They're not even going there.
And I'll do you one better. And this is my realm. I'm gonna kind of jump in. There's people who don't even qualify to go to HBCU level, and they get mad because their parents are alum. Oh, well, they ain't look at my boy. Man, they need all this local talent go, man. No, he ain't good enough for the level. Sorry. Go ahead.
Exactly. Like my man, our good brother, as we both know. Matter of fact, shout out to him as well, Jim Hicks. He celebrated his birthday yesterday.
Shout out to Jimmy, man. Yeah, shout out to Jimmy.
He's a fellow Scorpio like us. he said all the time, there's an all-district player everywhere. There's an all-district player everywhere. So when people are quick to scream, he was all-district 2 years. So what does that mean?
You think he the only one?
That don't mean nothing. It means absolutely nothing
so funny.
to the actual tail of the tape. And so in understanding what you're looking at, it's not about all-district. And I want to get the Rap Guards question, but I did see a good one too.
Let's get Rap Guards first. Again, if you super chat, you get priority, man. Because Dain will cook, man. I gotta let Dain cook, man. But you super chat, I'll shut him up. Go ahead.
No, what I was gonna say, I'm gonna answer his because he asked about
which one you got?
Not the savant question. Before him though, between the game sports, and I'm not.
Okay, there we go.
Pocket, but he said, "What's the biggest measurement assessing a prospect? Height, wingspan, IQ, etc." That's a great question. I think when you're talking about from high school to college, it definitely goes with positional size. It never failed how many people I would talk to, having a relationship with. Oh man, little man is killing. Man, he had 17 rebounds. He really may have had 17 rebounds. Okay, well, where little man go to school? Oh man, he go to, Davendale out there in Angelina County. Okay. What position he play? Oh man, he played power forward center. Okay, cool. The numbers are there. How tall is little man? Man, he's 6'2". Stop. We gotta stop. And I think that's the biggest thing. We said this on our last, I definitely remember saying this on our last viewing, Cliff, that more parents, more coaches, you need to take your child to college practices. And again, I'm going to support my HBCUs on this because I know Coach Jones over at TSU, his doors are open. Byron up at PV, Coach Byron.
Shout out to Coach Smith. I think you froze on me, Dain. Can y'all hear Dain? Like he froze on my screen. Y'all let me know what it says. Let me comment. Can y'all hear? Dain may have got a phone call, so that happens sometimes. You get a phone call, it'll freeze on you. So maybe you can drop down and come back up. And I'll kind of take the reins from there. Yeah, like so what he was saying, man. You'll see a lot of guys who don't understand the college level. The college level is crazy. Well, let me see. Can y'all hear me? We having a little technical difficulties. Y'all let me know. Okay, Dain may have got kicked out. So he'll come back in and I'll let you know. If you get to see the rigor of a college basketball practice, it will give you so much perspective about the level of the standard. And I'll put it this way. My first year I played, I graduated from Prairie View A&M, shout out to PV. My first year I played at Stephen F. Austin State University, and I was a redshirt freshman. And I cannot lie. My first practice I had, it was the hardest thing I've probably done in my life because it was so much expectation from the time you need to show up, which is Coach Casper was like 45 minutes before. I've never had to have nothing close. I mean, and not even indicting my coach at PV. It was probably about 20 to 30 minutes ahead of time. He was 45 minutes non-negotiable before practice. That in itself was just hard, just the time discipline. And then when you're there, you start getting the stretches going. If you're late, you're down. And then once you get going, and between the game sports, no, he played for Coach Casper as well, the same school after me though. Just the timeline from inception to the end, it was so much rigor. It was so hard. It was so mentally and physically taxing that a lot of guys need to just go watch that. Because in high school, as you know, now I happen to play for a pretty disciplined coach. What's up, Dain? I see you back. Jeffrey Brush, man. I gotta give Jeffrey his flowers because now situationally not always the greatest coach, but our team ended up being number 10 in Texas when the smoke cleared. And we went hard in practice in high school. I do know, to juxtapose that with my junior college experience, I went to Mountain View College. I would conduct practice. It was so lazy. It was so lax. It was so bad. I had to be basically the coach of the team. So there's a lot of more guys who was in my JUCO situation than my high school and in my college situation. So, with that being said, you need to see how it looks on the top end. Because if you don't know how it looks on the top end, you're gonna think your little lackadaisical work schedule is gonna put you, in the normal college flow or the normal college workload, and it's just not. It's just not. So, all right, yeah, I told y'all super chat take priority, man. Appreciate you, Wealth Engineering. So, Dain, why so many NBA scouts was wrong about LaMelo Ball? Everyone could tell he was going to be a superstar, but why not scout late in the draft? I don't know if there's a conflict, but if that applies, go for it.
Nah, it's not a conflict, but what I think what's being missed, and again, I don't know weather engineering. I don't. But when you make a comment like this, I'm only assessing it off the comment you're making. No, everyone didn't think he was going to be a star. When you say that leads to many of the people that are fans of LaMelo, and that's cool, that's fine. But from a scouting standpoint, anytime you're coming from outside of the conventional realm, it's going to leave reason to be cautious, if that's the word to look for. So think about it. He came from an unconventional space. The route that he went completely was unconventional. Then he had a brother that came before him whose dad can be problematic. I think that was a classic case of people say it all the time. College coaches talk about it all the time, that they recruit their parents as well. They look at that situation as well. But then I say all of that to say that really looks crazy to say when he still went number 2. So how bad was it really? So I don't think anyone missed. You saying that is as if LaMelo was drafted 21, 25. It was a top 5 pick. Like what? I don't. What was the miss? There was no miss. But again, when you trickle it down to the levels prior to the NBA, it's the route in which he went. But it's not about anyone missing. It's being honest about all the noise that was surrounding that situation. It was no one ever questioned his talent and his ability. I mean, it helped a lot. He grew 5-6 inches, maybe something like that before where he stands now. So of course that made it more enticing. But it's hard to say they missed when he was a top 2 pick. You know what I'm saying? So that one is kind of tough.
Well, let me say this. I'm gonna speak for the people out here.
I know where you got drafted.
You speaking from the expert route, and I respect that. I'm gonna speak for the people. The people ain't trying to hear that shit on some level. Here's why. Because once LaMelo proved that, basically he was going to be the next, to guy at UCLA, offered the scholarship when he was a freshman. When he went over to Lithuania, taking off all the scouting boards. And not only that, I understand why, because one hand feeds another. We talked about that on another stream about how certain scouting services are funneled through what shoe program, so we all understand that to be so. But what started to happen was like unfair critiques of his game. Like at one point they said he didn't like contact. They said that he also was too much flash. And if you watched him play, he became more of a facilitator when he went overseas to Lithuania. And he also became an actual player who liked contact. So it was unfair assessment. Now, not necessarily from your level, but we're talking about from your Woody Pages of the world, your Skip Baylesses of the world, your Stephen A. Smith cheat off everybody's paper, so that goes without saying. But there were a lot of people, prognosticators as they were, who were definitely putting out false reports about how good this kid was. And he did climb back up the draft board when he was off of it. And I think he appeared back on it around 16. And then as he kept doing his thing at Spire, went to Illawarra Hawks, then he got to 3. But I guess people are a little frustrated about the process of getting knocked off the board.
Let's get something clear too.
But before you go, I want to say this. None of this, I got to keep it real. The NBA ain't promised to you at the end of the day. None of it's promised to you. But it is interesting to watch him, how opinions knocked him down and then back up. And then now at the end, he got drafted at 3. So people, us in these streets is like, all right, that's a little funny how that shook out. But go ahead, Dan, you got the floor.
But well, Cliff, there's a couple things. What matters? The rumors, the early reports, or what actually happens? Because see, when you say
I'm
that,
with you. I'm with you on the
right.
totality.
So
Yeah,
like
I'm
that's
with
where
you.
it's like you saying that people don't want to hear that, but that's the truth. Like we're not gonna act as if this kid was just the great American kid from Chino Hills that just kept getting better and did no wrong, and he was being overlooked. And again, he got drafted 19. You're talking about a kid whose first brother was supposed to be the next Jason Kidd. That story is still being written, being told, but he's since been moved twice. You had a meddling
That's fair.
father. You had a middle brother that stole that story at UCLA and was kicked off the team or left the team. Then you got the last child who goes a unconventional route. Bro, I'm starting to run through my mind the amount of times the unconventional pick got the benefit of the doubt. And if we're looking probably since 2000, Cliff, what we got two? You got Bunyarny and you got Yao Ming.
Even
You know
Jalen Green going the G League route straight out of high
but
school.
he didn't go
That's,
one. I'm going about the number one pick in the draft.
I was saying Jalen got the benefit of the unconventional. Like he was a maverick or a trailblazer in that way, not literally a Portland trailblazer.
But did he not go to a league affiliated with the NBA?
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, even still, when he signed that contract, that was still kind of a new concept.
No. That's true. We'll agree on that. It was an unconventional route, yes. But his unconventional route and the route that LaMelo wasn't the same.
I can agree with that.
That's what I'm getting at. But I'm mentioning all the unconventional routes we've seen in the last 21 years since 2000. All we got to show for is Yao Ming and Bunyarny. And both of them going number one. Yao coming from overseas to the Rockets, and Bunyarny coming from Italy going to the Toronto Raptors. So outside of that, what else do we have? Like they're going to take, and when you mentioned Jalen Green, the reason why I'm saying no is because they went with the conventional route of a Cade Cunningham over a Jalen Green.
He still went high, but I get where you're trying to parse it a little bit. I got that.
Well, no, and that's what I'm saying. LaMelo still went high, so that's I'm like I'm finding it hard to figure out when people say that they missed, but how? Missing is Giannis. Missing is Isaiah Thomas, the second one. Missing is Nick Van Exel. Missing is guys that are Michael Reds,
I got
Manu Ginobili. That's missing. You feel what I'm saying? So
Rashard
I
Lewis,
think people's definition of what they think missing is, and the bells and whistles that come with up leading to the draft, that's where the difference. But then my next part is, ladies and gentlemen, please make no mistake about it. All these mock drafts that you see, a lot of them, and I used to have it written down. I need to go look through my notes, but I had it written down because somebody broke it down to me one day. How Kawhi, that's another great call between the game. Thank you. That's a miss.
Paul George.
All those mock drafts are manipulated, motivated by certain agencies. Make no mistake about it. When you see certain guys high on certain mock drafts, I guarantee you, if you dig, you'll find out what agency kind of feeds that news outlet those names, and they do a mock draft because there's no exact science to it. The season starts this upcoming Tuesday. I'll be in the building, Champions Classic, Madison Square Garden, the Mecca of basketball, New York City. There will be a mock draft either before that game Tuesday or at some point next week. And the first question for all my basketball lovers, fanatics, fans, enthusiasts is ask yourself, how could you say that Cliff is going to go number 2 to the Houston Rockets? You don't even know the Rockets are going to have the number 2.
You didn't even talk to the GM.
Hold on.
You don't even know what the draft
The draft lottery is not even set.
Yeah.
The draft lottery is not even set. So
it's a projection for records, though.
Said author or writer of this story, where are you getting this information? And not enough people, they don't ask these questions, or they're not smart enough to say, this is not accurate. You had a gentleman last year, came from Big Blue Nation. In the preseason mock drafts, they had him 3. And this is before he played a game, Cliff. Before the kid played a game. And when I tell you that altered that kid's mindset because him and his family fought, well, man, they said, I'm going number 3. Who said you was going number 3? Who? What team gave you a guarantee before you played the game that you were going number 3. And lo and behold, he goes into the season. He had a pretty bad season, had no business leaving, left anyway, and he was a second-round pick. So when people bringing it back to the original question, when people bring up the missing on draft picks and this and that, but then when the draft comes, somebody still goes top 5. Like, what are we talking about, bro? Like that doesn't go hand in hand. I know you might want the draft chatter to be what it was for Cade Cunningham, for Jalen Green, yada, yada, so on and so forth. But those guys were aligned with entities that went along with the NBA. Because, again, I'm going to agree with you. The G League Ignite is an alternative route, but it is affiliated with the NBA. They are going to see to it that those kids succeed one way or another. But when somebody goes to, where did he go? Lithuania, when he goes to Australia, that's not the normal route, and that's not necessarily supported by the NBA.
Well, I want to say this. I think that's a very great point about, a scribe or a person who writes an article having a lot of cachet that isn't validated. And I'll say this, man. When I was, I'll say about 7 years ago, I used to write articles. And I used to get paid for them. And I had a gentleman reach out to me from the UK to write an article about his kid plays soccer. And I wrote an article about the kid, and I'm good with words. Beautiful article. It was awesome. And I guess, I posted on I had a hoopjargon.com. I still own hoopjargon.com. I don't write articles anymore for my site. I put it on there, and they blasted that out all around the UK. And man, his kid got so much like hate over that article. Over a kid I never watched play. His dad paid me like $100 to write the article, and I did it based on his stats and based on what he presented to me. And I was like, okay, there's your article. And so basically the point is, you never know the exact ramifications of a publication. So when we take it as gospel, people are naturally going to challenge it, and they probably should, because you don't know the genesis of it if there's not like we start the stream off saying, there's not a standard to evaluate. So I think that's a great point, because you never know the motivation of the person who put the piece together or the ranking system together. I got to give another example. My boy Kenyatta Cavill, man, my frat brother, man, shout out to A5A. He does HBCU game day, and he was talking about the way that they put the ranking system together, because I thought it was an important question. Like, okay, you got the ranking. How do y'all come with this? He said through the coaches poll, I believe he said, and through the record, and then they go strength of schedule. And I was like, okay, that's something that I can co-sign to. And I say all that to say that I asked, like Dain was saying, nobody asked these questions about how valid is the list. And now I'm an older man. I ask these questions because anybody can put some shit out and put it on the internet, and you can take it as gospel because you can click on it, you can look at it, you can share the link to somebody. So I think that's a very strong comment, bro.
And that even applies again to everyone, who has their little mans and their little Shaquems and Jamals that, they want to see their name. Everyone wants to see their child's name in lights. Everybody wants to see their child's name in lights. And they get excited when they see their name. They just want to be on the list.
Facts.
But to your point, people don't know how the list is formulated. I tell people to the highest of the high, the Yahoos, the Rivals, the ESPNs when it comes to basketball, 24/7s. You and I can sit up, we can get the top 100 players in the country in the gym. And you and I, just with our experience as players alone, we can separate the good from the bad. We can get a top 10. We can get a top 20. If we really, really wanted to do it, we probably can get a top 30. But after that, somebody tell me what separates 36 from 76.
Not a lot.
And often when you go to those outlets and those machines, they can't tell you. Because at that point, there's no system. There's no system. Because you and I both know I shouldn't put the number one player on the court with the 81st player, and they should look the same. And often too many times that we're seeing in amateur sports, you see that you'll walk into a gym. Yo, I heard Cliff Franks is playing Dain Ervin. Cliff is number 5 in the state of Texas, and Dain is 95th coming out of New York. But yet, when they watching the game, they looking at me saying, damn, Cliff busting his ass. And somebody gonna say, oh, no, that's Dain. That shouldn't be. When you're at a certain tier, again, people love the 5-star label. When you're a 5-star player, You should reign supreme over anybody that is 3, 2, or 1. It shouldn't be close. It shouldn't be close.
Shouldn't be. Yeah.
But when you look up and you got gentlemen like Ja Morant that when he came out of high school, he had 0 stars. 0 stars. Ja Morant is not far removed from his high school years.
I don't
Played
think
alongside Zion.
Dane Lillard had like, I think he's a 1-star kid going to Weaver.
Probably was. But
I
to
think he's a
those
1 or
kids,
2.
those are often the hungriest guys.
Mm-hmm.
Those are often the hungriest guys because at the end of the day, how many guys in the league that were 5-star high school prospects? It's not as many as people think.
I
See,
agree with
that's
that.
another separator too. There's not a lot of. I mean, you and I can run through from Chris Paul, LeBron, Melo, KD. Steph Curry wasn't a 5-star guy in high school. Dame
No,
Lillard
that's
wasn't a
right.
5-star guy in high school. Kawhi Leonard wasn't a 5-star guy in high school. You know what I'm saying? So as you run through it, you start to realize many of these systems are flawed in many ways, but of course they're flawed to their advantage. They're flawed to make sure that they look correct. And that's what people have to weed out when you're talking about breaking down the actual grind of evaluating. So
Yeah,
again, yes, when I
it's a
started in
game
high
within
school,
a game, man. It's a game within a game, man.
yes,
Yes.
that's a great way to put it. That is 100% a great way to put it. But that's one of the first things I tell anybody that enters the space. You're not going to always just go watch quote unquote a LaMelo Ball play. You're not going to always watch a TJ Ford play. You may have to go watch Garrett Templeton. That's a familiar name that I'm sure you know of.
Yes.
Tim Frazier. Tim Frazier. Nobody in a million. I guarantee you this. Tim Frazier, who's from the Houston area, he's more than likely lasted longer in the pros than anyone from probably his high school class. With that being said, nobody saw that coming out of high school. So a lot of the times, it's the inner workings of individuals of how good they want to be, is the greatness within them. You know, everyone. It's easy to quote the Kobe Mamba mentality, but who really got that lifestyle? I don't want you to just have the mentality. I want you to have the lifestyle. Because mentally, you could be in one place, but your lifestyle is a whole nother way. The Mamba lifestyle was the 4 a.m. workouts,
Yeah.
shots until 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
Took the kids to school, worked out some more before noon. Kobe had 2 workouts before noon.
Yeah. Like
But
hard ones,
everybody
strenuous workouts.
exactly, and then only went back at night for the third one. So it's often not just in the mentality, but it's the lifestyle. You would think that the mentality leads to a certain lifestyle, but as you and I both know, and being Scorpios, they say we do a great job of compartmentalizing. A lot of people do that as well. They compartmentalize what they want to do and what they want to say. And I think more of our prospects, and even myself and as an evaluator, you have to kind of sniff that out. You have to get to those closest to said individual to figure out, is he really about this grind? Because I get it. A lot of people would love the NBA lifestyle. You and I, to this day, we're in our 40s. Yeah, we would love the NBA lifestyle as a
Yeah,
player,
for
but
sure.
it's so much that comes with it. It's so much responsibility that comes with it. And I think that's one of the biggest things as we now move up a level, when you talk about the collegiate part of it, is being a pro is not just on the court. It's not touching the top of the backboard with your elbow. It's not,
Yeah.
hitting, 18 out of 23s from 5 different spots all day long. It's often, are you a professional in your lifestyle? Are you going to be on time? Are you going to be at practice? Are you going to be courteous to people? Because now you're a representative to, regardless what city you're in, what pro team you're on, you're a representative in your city. Are you going to be that role model? And sometimes, often, especially the young guys, they don't want to shoulder that responsibility. They want the money. They want to hoop in front of 25, 20,000 people, but they don't want the responsibility of being an adult. And that is taken away from you. That is snatched from you in a heartbeat.
No, that's fair. And I think, and this is the minutia I want to touch about this process of becoming a pro, is because I love that, the Mamba lifestyle, because now I will say this, man, having the opportunity to hang with LeVar Ball for a whole day, and to Rap God's point that he just made, 2 kids with 5 recruits and a 3-star, LeVar made his kids work out like pros since they were like 4 and 5 years old. Like he's like, you can't come back in this house till you make 10 NBA 3-pointers from 3 spots. No, he said 100 from each spot. You can't come in the house till you make them. Like, you cannot come in the house. And I don't know about you, Dane, but me and you both made it to the Division I level. I made it to the professional playing overseas. My dad made me play a lot of games. He made me play up against guys like LeVar did with his kids too. But he didn't really make me like individually train to like where your arm hurt, like where you sick of basketball for the day. And I think a lot of brothers can share that story who made it to a high level. And I do want to give LeVar credit because he basically, I always make this comparison. He prepared his boys like the old age stonemasons or your blacksmiths. The way that they made their kid pick the craft up and carry the family legacy on, he made his kids do that. And I think that's the shit that a lot of people don't push their kids that way. But you want to put them in all these showcase tournaments and let them hoop. That's cool. But are you making, I'll give another example. TJ Ford's dad used to make him dribble in the dark. So his handles were that tight because he was dribbling in the dark. Are you willing to do those kind of things? But those kind of things basically formulate your skill level at the highest clip. Whereas when you start playing 5-on-5, if your IQ's intact, you shine harder than others because you went through that rigor. You went through that fire, as it were, and came out, a little more sharpened than the next man who just kind of casually hoop. Go ahead.
No, you good.
Yeah, no, I was just saying because a lot of people don't understand what that looks like with guys who are exceptional of what they may have gone through from guys who are just good, with the measurables, like you were saying, doing the cone drill, shooting 5 threes from a certain spot on the floor and, things that, your evaluation things show. I find it funny that those kind of things, are given more priority over some real stuff. And Dan, you can hit me in the back chat, man, if you got something going on. I know your camera is kind of jacked up. And so let me see. So yeah, so you just send me a message. Let me see real quick, guys. Okay. Can you hear me? Okay, I think I'm back. All right, here we go. All right, so yeah, and I saw the comment about Kobe. Kobe's father trained him since he was 2 years old. Kobe's a workout in the dark since high school. Yes, and Kobe also had an opportunity to play against grown men in Italy while his father was playing overseas. And so these kind of things matter. Like, so if we're talking about being a pro at the highest level, are you putting your kids through this type of rigor? Or you just kind of let them casually hoop? And that's fine. But you just got to understand, you're not going to get maximum results if you're not making them train like it's their job. Because make no mistake, going from the varsity level and above, basketball is a job. It's no longer just fun, casual, having a good time with the bros. No, it's an everyday commitment. And every now and again, I see a youngin' man who get up and put that work in early, who takes pride in that, and they'll go to regular practice after. But it seems like these days, that seen more as like, I'm not going to use the word abuse, but it's seen as you're not letting the kid have fun. And listen, man, it's blood sport out here. To be a professional athlete, it's blood sport. You got to put in work that the man across from you ain't willing to put in. I say this shit all the time. And this was not me in high school, college. The hard worker beat the talented one 9 times out of 10. I was the talented one. I wasn't a hard worker like that. Because nobody really put it in me, and I can't put it on nobody else. I just didn't want to really do it. And Will know between the game sports, no, I went there and did my time doing practice, and I got the hell out. When I was at Prairie View, it was optional to come in and do extra work. Man, I did practice for a little 2.5, 3 hours, and I went the fuck home. That just wasn't me. I didn't want to do that. Now, in retrospect, I got to give my girlfriend at the time credit. She used to encourage me to go do more stuff. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm tired. But there are some dudes who are just obsessed with basketball, and they make the more favorable results because they're willing to put their time in that other people won't. And so, yeah, like we'll say, stuff you gotta do between the game, pun intended. Yes, you gotta understand that I'm gonna commit to getting to practice early every day. Why? Because I don't want other players to think that I'm not committed to leading this team or being at the vanguard of this team. Some dudes like, I get in on time. I mean, I'm gonna let my game speak for myself, quote unquote. That's the kind of guy I was, man. And one thing I won't do is get on these streams and lie, because if I get on here and lie, people who really know me will be like, bro, that's cap. You was not that kind of guy. So I just want people to understand. And again, I made it a high level. I played professional ball overseas. But I understood when I played against an NBA player or NBA level guy, I knew how far back I was from them. Classic story I tell when I played him. Sorry about that. I got kicked off StreamYard. Classic story, man, when I played in Portugal. And I played against a team called Benfica. Got a guy named Eddie Tommy. He went to Ole Miss. 6'8", just yoked. Big old dude. I saw, and Eddie Tommy wasn't, in my opinion, an NBA guy, but he was a lot better than me. I just saw how strong and prepared he was. He can be coming playing from the SEC. I saw the talent separation. I was like, damn, this dude a lot better than me. Shit, man, I can't do that with this big old dude. And I would assume, well, I would bet that he put more time in that weight room. He put more time in preparation. And I came out there just more natural, just using my little natural abilities, being, a high flyer, being athletic, fast, quick. But you start to see, if I put more work in, I'd be able to handle him a lot easier. And funny story, played him again towards the end of the season when I put more work in, and it was a lot easier to deal with him. So the point I'm making is there's a lot of nuances that separate talent from going from just entry level, college to the overseas to NBA. Whole bunch of variables control this thing. Oh, dang, hit me again. Okay, yeah, sorry about this. All right, so Dain got some info that he's working with the Suns, and I won't put that info out there, but he doing his thing, man. Again, we're bringing a guy in who is literally an employee of the Phoenix Suns, man. So that's what he's doing. And so I appreciate him giving me his time, because usually, we'll rock about 3 hours. This time, he only had an hour in him, and that's fine. He said he'll be back. We'll probably end the stream before that. But I just want y'all to kind of see what these stories entail and what the grind entails and how people on that level think. Because a lot of us think that our kid and Dain made a great point. Oh, you made all district 2 times, and college is next. No, there are a lot of guys out there who made all district 3 times, 4 times. Y'all make sure you hit that like on the stream as well, man. And make sure you sub to the channel if you have not done so. I want to give you stuff that you cannot get from anywhere else, man. What up, Antisocial? Shout out to the homie, Antisocial in the building. Say Lonzo's one of the most polarizing athletes since LeBron, Steph, and Curry. Yeah, he is. And it's funny because he doesn't have the same type of love to match it. So, yeah, I agree with that. Lonzo is very polarizing. Okay, Dain back. Okay. Yeah, so I just want people to understand, like, the grind is real, man. Everybody wants to say mama mentality, and you pass that off as you just taking ill-advised shots because you got heart. For the Russell Westbrook camp, I'm talking to you. But are you willing to put that work in, excuse me, on that level to polish your game? And that's the question I got. Yeah, man. Hey, the Russell Westbrook camp, man, it gets a little weird, man. Some of y'all make the Kobe comparisons, but Kobe's game morphed a lot over the years. He developed more of a slow down temperament. He developed more trust.
And
yeah,
again,
go ahead.
That fall into that fandom lane of
you kind of going out on me, Dain. Yeah, I hear you now.
Cliff.
Yeah, I hear you.
I said good. That's where people get mixed up. Like that's when you start talking the fandom lane of things, because Don't get the fandom mixed with actual know-how and understanding of what you're supposed to be doing. And I think people often do that.
Oh yeah. Oh, especially a lot, and then the insults come, and then when you say something about the athlete that they care about, then you ain't shit, your mama ain't shit, and all that, this, that, and the
But
third.
then that goes back to what I said. That goes back to what I said about it. There's no emotional tie to it.
Yeah, yeah, and
Like I
it
think
shouldn't be that way.
people's
You go ahead.
emotional ties. It shouldn't be that way at all. It shouldn't be that way at all. But fans are fans,
It
as we
shouldn't.
know.
Yeah, man, and you should never be so much of a fan of something that it gets you that you want to insult another man off of their opinion about their said player. You should never get that way. And if you feel
Right.
yourself getting that way, you're way too invested for somebody you probably never meet. Or put in my case, somebody
Right.
with LeVar Ball who I met. At the end of the day, he got his own thing going. He's his own man. I'm my own man. And I'm only going to support, in the context of somebody who I think is doing right by their boys and whatever. But I'm not going to fight you because you don't like LeVar Ball. I'm not going to call you a COON because you don't like LeVar Ball. I'm not going to
Oh,
do
you're
that.
gonna be
For
you're
what?
gonna be all those things. You're gonna be all of that.
Yeah. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Let me ask this question for Devontae. He said, Rap God says, how or what makes Lonzo Ball polarizing? Well, I mean, I would say this year is probably the most subdued you've seen of the polarization. But everywhere he's went, if he doesn't produce basically De'Aaron Fox stats or equivalent, he's seen as we've all seen it. People call him a bust. People say he ain't NBA ready, say he was overhyped, say his dad gave him too much pressure. He's still getting talking points on these talking shows when he wasn't even getting, starters minutes for the most part. So yeah, he's very still polarized now. Now that they're winning, it's funny that it's kind of then chilled out a little bit because the Bulls sitting at 6-1 right now, looking real good, high and mighty, and they backed off of him because he looks good playing organic basketball, even though his numbers are across the board pretty down, but the proficiency level is up.
Well,
So to your point,
I
yeah,
think
go ahead.
Cliff. I think the Cliff. Well, the Cliff to that. The point to that in which people speak on is where he was drafted. Because I think many of those points you just said,
Yeah,
they're true though. Like they're true.
yeah.
Like you can't be a number two pick and you're not uplifting a franchise. You can't be a number two pick who's been traded twice within 5 years. Like that's what people are referring to
Markel
when
Fultz
you
did.
right, but he's
It's
not Lonzo
happening.
Ball. And I think
Yeah.
the out that he gets, and you and I both know it exists, he's been injured. Like so when you're talking to Markel Fultz, first it was what the elbow or the wrist, and then now it's the ACL tear. It's a bit different. I think Lonzo, everything you said, it was crafted in making him polarizing. He went to
We got hurt too,
UCLA.
though. He got hurt
No.
twice, and
Wait.
then
But look at the buildup. Look at the buildup for a second.
I agree. I agree. I see where you're going. I agree
You
with
at
that.
local Chino Hills High School, you win the mythical national high school championship. And I always tell people all the time, if you're 6'5", you're a point guard, and you come from California, you're going to unfairly be compared to who?
Jason
Jason
Kidd
Kidd.
out the Bay.
Boom. You went to UCLA. You turned UCLA around. So now you're the buildup. You're putting in work. So let's not leave that out. He put the work in, but then here comes your dad. And instead of him being the sprinkles
What's up,
and the
Celine?
cherry and the whipped cream, oh nah, he got to be the ice cream. He got to be in the middle of it all. That didn't, and then you go to the Lakers.
That's what
So
makes you
his
polarizing, though. That makes you
no,
polarizing.
all of that what we just built up make you polarizing.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that he did makes him polarizing. Think about it. You was at UCLA. If I'm not mistaken, they went. No, Kentucky came to them. They beat almighty blue blood Kentucky. You feel what I'm
And
saying? So
prime
a lot
Kentucky,
of
like prime Kentucky.
yes. So that's what I'm getting at. Like the build up for him becoming polarizing, it happened right before our eyes. That's
No,
what
I
made it
agree.
polarizing. So you know what I'm saying? Like if he goes to Memphis or he goes to Portland, you went to the Lakers. You know what I'm saying? You was at the
I agree.
Lakers. Like Magic was co-signing you. You know what I'm saying? So now, never mind Jason Kidd. Magic Johnson said you're gonna be the one.
You be the next
So
great, your
all of
name in
that,
the raffles. I get that.
and that's something with both high school, not so much in college, but the NBA. Skip over and get to the NBA. Oftentimes, kids that are ranked, kids that are talked about, they're not talking about themselves. It's other people saying this. And the masses, they either go with it or they go against it. And again, that's part of the creation of the polarization. That either, well, man, he not Jason Kidd. He didn't do what Jason Kidd did in college. He didn't do that, but he was pretty damn good. He was pretty damn good at UCLA. He helped turn the program around. And that's not what
Yeah,
they look
yeah.
at. So
That
say that
program was
again.
shit before. That program was shit before Lonzo showed up, man. And it turned to back to where it was when Westbrook was there, when Kevin Love was there, when Holiday was there, when was my man what's the other point guard?
Well, wait.
Collison.
We can't do that. He didn't do that. Those guys went to Final Fours. Like
Well,
they didn't do
no.
that.
I'm just saying the team that you mentioned as a team I'm watching. I'm not
Yes.
saying that they were the equivalent, but it was a
No, they made him
precipitous drop
watchable
off.
again. I
Yeah,
agree. I agree with that. He made him
no, I'm not
watchable again.
saying that, because Ben
100%.
Holland was there back. I'm not saying it was exactly that, but after them, it was just like an unwatchable program.
No, it
And
was. It was tough.
yeah,
Shout out to
yeah.
my man
So
Dwayne Broussard. He was the associate head coach. He's a Houston. He's a Mo City native, current assistant coach at TCU. He recruited all the balls. Like he the one that got LiAngelo, to sign as well, along with Lonzo. So that was his deal. But no, I
okay,
get that.
shout out
But
to
but
shout out to
I
him.
but I do understand. Like when it comes to Lonzo himself, I get it all. None of it is like confusing to me. Like why him or why? Like no, I get it. I get it. Now to his credit, he did improve his shot, as you talked about last year. He was steady, so I think he's right in his ship, and he's going to be fine. He's on the second contract. The rest now is going to be on him. It's not going to be.
Oh
His
yeah, for
dad has
sure.
nothing to do with this equation anymore. This is him.
It's
The
on him.
pro that he turns out to be is going to be because of how he takes that approach. And it's going to be the same thing with LaMelo. If you're now going to have to shoulder this franchise, whether they pay or they choose not to pay
Terry
Miles
Rozier.
Bridges,
Oh, Bridges.
clearly,
Yeah.
clearly you're the guy. How do you shoulder that responsibility? And that's what I was saying before I had to get off, because I'm sure some of you guys are seeing the reports. I have no comment on what's coming out of Phoenix. I had nothing to do with it. I wasn't there. And probably more importantly for me, as far as what I do, this is not basketball operations related. Not saying that either way for or against, but it's unfortunate. It's all an unfortunate situation. And if those that are following don't know, I mean, I'm sure they'll see it and read about it. So
Yeah, we'll leave
it'll
it
come
there.
up for sure.
Let me address these two comments. I'm gonna let you go back cooking. All right, Devontae says Hoop Jargon, that's not polarized. He's number 2 draft pick who has not got into the playoffs, has played with LeBron James, Zion with little success. So let me pick apart that. Polarizing, I don't think you know what that means. Polarization means basically it's feast or famine. You get a lot of attention based on your profile. So that absolutely is polarizing because again, with the attention and like Rap God was saying, the nitpicking, you basically get attention no matter what. I.e. the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys are the worst team in football, and they're still gonna get talked about. They can be the best team in football, obviously they'll be talked about. That's what polarization is. As far as him playing with LeBron, well, as you remember, Lonzo got hurt that year playing against the Rockets when he was cooking, and LeBron got hurt that year. So you saying no playoffs with LeBron? I mean, that was a perfect storm to not make the playoffs. I mean, we all can easily understand that. With Zion, I mean, I think last year they should have. I'm with that. I'm with that criticism. Even though I will say, I think that's what makes Lonzo so good this year is that he's with a team that's letting him be a point guard. When you look at the Pelican situation, you got 3 guys who want to be the de facto point guard. You know what I'm saying? And so that does present problems with cohesion and with team continuity. So you got a guy who's a pass first, hands-on point guard having to play off ball. That poses problems. So, but I'll give you half credit for the Pelicans ones. I still think he should have stepped up and like, yo, this is my team, give me the ball. But he didn't for whatever reason. It is what it is. I'm not gonna make excuses for him there. Now, here's what I don't want to do with your second comment. Lonzo Ball fans. I don't give a shit about Lonzo Ball fans. We talking about what Lonzo Ball is doing as a player. So don't conflate what fans say and do about what I'm talking about right now is that what his production is on the court and what he's done with what he's had. So you see, blame his coaches. Now, that is true. I see in spaces they do blame the coaches now. Again, Luke Walton, you tell me if he's a great coach. Stan Van Gundy, you tell me. Alvin Gentry, off and on. But you take what you want to do with that. Pelicans, Brandon Ingram made All-Star. Traded, yeah. So, yeah, I get it, man, that you kind of annoyed maybe by some of the fans. I can understand that based on your comment, but don't conflate fan commentary with what is actually going on in his career.
I'm glad you ended there. I want to add something to that, Cliff.
Go ahead.
We often, too, with these talking heads on television, let's not get this confused. Skip Bayless is a award-receiving journalist.
Yes, he is.
Stephen A. Smith, award-winning journalist. That does not mean they're experts at the sport. What we've gotten confused now with current television is that they put these journalists, because they're articulate in their words, because they write for a living, they sound well, they sound appealing and appeasing to the American ear, and we take them to being the experts. They're not. They're not. See, that's where I'm frustrated myself personally with journalism. I get it. We're going in a digital age. We don't need the Chronicle, the Daily News, the New York Times as much, but also the craft itself has gotten shoddy at best because journalists are not being journalists. You're supposed to report what you see, not create narratives. And that's where we are in both the football, basketball, and probably baseball spaces, is that these individuals are creating narratives. And I always run to my hook, line, and sinker, and I still haven't gotten a sufficient rebuttal to me about Skip Bayless, in the sense that he's created everyone talking about clutch this, clutch that, clutch thing. There's no such thing. And how I can tell you that is Jerry West went to 8 finals.
No, he went to 10.
He went to 9. He went to exactly.
He's 1-9.
He's 1-9 or 1-8.
Yeah, I think he's 1 out of something.
We'll get it right by the next show. But make a long story short, he's 1-8 or 1-9 in NBA finals. Yet they call this man Mr. Clutch. So again, this clutch narrative that, like, as soon as somebody says that to me, I know they watch television. They don't watch the game. They watch talk radio. They listen to the talking heads on the radio or on television, because even purists mind, they don't ever scream about clutch, because at the end of the day, if it's a tight situation, you got one shot. Either you're going to make it or miss it. But your career is not going to be defined by what you didn't do in that moment. You're not going to be defined by that. You just didn't get it done. I lived in New York City my whole entire childhood and early adulthood. I watched Patrick Ewing. I watched what he did for the Knicks. Did he deliver? No. Did he miss finger rolls against the Pacers? Did he not step up against Dream in the finals? But for me to sit there and say that he's still not great, you got to be out of your mind. He's still one of the top 10 centers to ever play basketball. And that's a lot when you say about 4,800 people have played in the NBA. You're one of the top 10 at your position. That's great. That ain't even pretty damn good. That's great. And again, I think we've just fed to this new narrative of, like they said, the human error. These generated narratives that these talking heads on television, these journalists have put on certain athletes, and it's not right. Because I promise you, I did catch this morning, just because I understand it's been a topic. But I saw the energy that Stephen A. Smith was giving his favorite quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, for not being vaccinated. That wasn't the same pitch you had when you were talking about Kyrie.
Yep. You
didn't have the same energy. So it's things like that for me that I see that lets me know, yeah, it's all phony. It's all WWF. I don't call it WWE because I was in the WWF era. Like, it's all wrestling, because you don't mean that. Because you don't. Again, Cliff said this earlier about evaluating and standard. If you got a standard, the same way that you've gone at Kyrie's neck about not being vaccinated, so on and so forth. Yeah, the fact that now it's come out that Aaron Rodgers lied. Oh, it should be double the punishment. It should be double the ridicule. But that's not what I saw, and that's why I'm like, I'm good. I'm good.
Nah, and so I'm real big on that because journalists, their job is to create narratives based on people's ability to care about a certain subject. Because you don't just report the story. You report it in a way that is polarizing. I feel like that's the theme of the day. Because you have to have people to care one way or the next. Either they're pro it or they're staunchly against it, but you're still gonna watch it. That's why people watch Skip Bayless. I hear people say all the time how much they hate Skip Bayless. This man branched off of ESPN and made a show arguably more successful than First Take. And it's because he's so polarizing. It's because you'll watch him, even if he say the dumbest thing about the Dallas Cowboys, you want to watch him so you can disagree with him. And most people don't even understand that about themselves, that you're not driven by facts or just straight talk. You're driven by
Nope. Yep. Cliff, I can't hear you, champ.
yo, you can't hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, when did I cut off?
I heard you what you're saying about the narrative part and what people are
Okay.
attracted to.
Yeah, so that goes to old world ideology to have people, attracted to the poles, hot and cold, light and dark, and what have you. But again, I won't go too far into that. But the whole reasoning behind that whole thing is to get you enraptured with the storylines. And that's what you see with journalists. That they always, because, it's funny, people come on my videos, oh, you say all the bad stuff about Westbrook, you don't say the good stuff. Well, I'm making a position. When I make a position, I'm talking about something that's going to evoke an emotion out of you. I'm not going to make a video that's boring and just talking about both things. It gives you nothing. But if you don't agree, like I say, come in the comments and tell me you don't agree. That's okay. But I'm going to make a position. And that's what you see going on in these bigger channels is that they make a position and they make you fill the gaps in, as it were, because that's what makes for good television. Can you hear me?
I can hear Ant Learn say he can't hear you.
You can't hear me at all, Ant Learn? Ask Ant Learn, can he hear me? I see my
Ant
voice.
Learn, can you hear him? Ant Learn, can you
Okay,
hear?
well, I'm going to keep talking. He said, can hear you now. So maybe that's what he meant. All right, we'll see. I do want to say this one thing Devontae said, Stan Van Gundy, coach. Yes, he did all that. He did all that when he was in his prime. Stan Van Gundy is in the glue factory of old NBA coaches. He is no longer NBA level coach, man. I'm sorry to tell you, bro. That's like digging Phil Jackson up right now just because he did all that and have him coach your team. Phil Jackson is not a good coach candidate, in my opinion. Now, Dana, you don't have to answer that, but I'm going to just put it that way. So you can't go off a lifetime resume and think that means you still can coach. Let me put it like that. All right, so going forward, man. All right, everybody say we good. So we talked about what it takes to be a pro. We talked about the grind. We talked about what it looks like from a standpoint of playing against other guys at the highest level. So once you get to that level, Dane, talk a little bit about what is incumbent upon you, no matter where you're drafted. What's next for you to be a pro at this level?
You talking about as a player, or you talking about me as an evaluator?
No, just a player. I want people to hear what it takes just from.
Well, as a player, like so, and I'm glad somebody kind of went there so we could. I mean, I get it. I understand this is a ball advocate channel, so I understand it. But I think the other part, when people, those that may be dumbfounded on why Lonzo's handled the way that he is, when you're certain draft picks, you're not going against your draft class, you're going against history. So when you're a number one pick, you're not measured necessarily. You are measured against your class, but ultimately you're measured against every number one pick that's come before you. So you're literally
That's fair.
fighting against time. Like you're fighting against, like as some people say, you're chasing ghosts. Is it fair? It's not fair. But guess what? Many people say it's not your fault, but it is your problem. And that's something that you have. You can't help when you were born. You can't help, the hard work that put you in that position. But do understand, too much is given, much is required. So when you're a number one pick, you're viewed against other number one picks. When you're a number two pick, you're viewed against other number two picks. When you're a top five, so on as you go down the line. So I tell people this all the time, and I use this equation, and it's true. Go look at the production in which someone like a Rudy Gobert has put it in the league, right? We know he's an anchor for what Utah does. He's an all-star performer. He's a great player. However, Rudy Gobert went in the late 20s. Now you take somebody like Mohamed Bamba, who physically can pretty much do a lot of the things that Rudy Gobert does. That won't be enough. Why? Mohamed Bamba was a top 7 pick. So where you're drafted, where you go, it's tough because that's part, and again, that's part of the, what's the word I'm looking for? That's part of your responsibility for wherever you're selected. Understand that's what comes with this. That's what comes with this. So when Luka goes third and he's doing everything that he's done in his first 3 years, guess what? The 2022 pick, people are gonna expect what Luka's done. Is it fair? No, but it is your problem that you got to figure out. You got to figure out how can I be? I may not be as successful, but I need to have a level of success. Luka's been successful as an individual. He hasn't been successful in a team space yet in his career. So if I'm a number 3 pick, you may not have the freedom that Luka had as an individual, but damn it, you better try to do everything you can do as a teammate and as a player to kind of bounce off what other number 3 picks have done in past time. And I've had these conversations with other gentlemen, especially when it comes to the draft. Do you draft off of, best available or team need? And me, if my team is bad, but I'm trying to get up out of this hole that I'm in, like I got to go with the need, because you'll mess around and have all these picks and you got all these alleged promising guys that don't pan out, but you ain't got no direction, but you only took them because they were the best players available. No, you got to start putting the dominoes and you got to start putting the Legos together to build something. I just can't have a bunch of Legos. I got to have something to start building a foundation of what I'm doing. Because if you don't, because I tell people this, if you draft off of best available and it don't work, you're going to get fired. You might as well draft off what you need, because if you don't get it right anyway, what's going to happen, Cliff? You're going to get fired. So the crazy part is, either way, you're going to be fired either way. So you might
Better
as
do it
well
your way.
Exactly. But so many people fall to this understanding, man, you got to take what's the best available. And then that's why when you go back and look at certain teams, you realize certain teams didn't work out.
Yeah. That translates every sport. Like, you don't, I think that, shoot, just to put it in football terms, I think my Cowboys turned the corner. We stopped going after the quote unquote sexy name and start addressing what needs to be addressed properly, i.e. not going after Johnny Manziel. I think that's when we turned the corner. Now, us drafting Zeke, when we kind of had a run game instead of Jalen Ramsey, you can say that was maybe going against that ideology, getting CeeDee Lamb when we already had 2 strong receivers, maybe. But overall, we did a damn good job of drafting need. And I think that's what's while it's going to extend Mike McCarthy's career, when I think, again, one of these coaches who's probably a little over the hill, I think he may be, but he has the right staff and he has the right guys around him that's going to extend his career even further. It's going to make him look even better. If, the Lord said the same and we got a championship year, a championship caliber year, let me put it that way, he going to look like a genius in all this, because, again, drafting need over going over names is usually the better way to go. So, no, I think that's a great thing too, and a lot of college programs, in my opinion. I know Dain probably got back on the phone again. College programs, when you constantly bringing in people that your alumni say you need to bring in, you're bringing in guys just because this draft board or this recruiting service has them ranked here and they don't fit your program, you're gonna get your ass kicked. You're gonna get your ass kicked, and those same alumni who you trying to please, they're gonna turn their back on you if you're losing. I don't care who they told you to pick. They're gonna turn their back on you. I've seen it live and in person. You understand what I'm saying? So I think that's a great point that you got to be true to yourself as a coach, because at the end of the day, you the first line of defense as far as the program, meaning you're going to be the first one to get blamed about shit ain't going right. So you might as well do right.
Right. What because my phone is on fire, like I said,
Yeah, I
and
see, man. Shit.
what is the best time? What is the best time? I want to do this. Either we could do it over or we continue this, but I want to do it because my phone. I got my mother even calling me now.
Yeah, no, go do your thing. I mean, we can go later
Friday
today.
night.
You
Oh,
say
you want
when?
to go? What's your schedule later today?
I'm off today, so man, you tell me if you if the hotline bling slow down, man, you want to get back on it, we can.
I'm gonna text you. Let's shoot because I'm in Eastern time, so I'm 3 ahead of you. Let's look at 5 your time. Does that work?
I ain't got
Where
shit.
would you be? I'm gonna text you at least 30 minminutes, well, hour prior, and we can put
Man,
it
just
together.
man, take your time. I know your organization going through some shit, man. So we
I'm gonna
appreciate
hit
you
you
giving me
back,
your
man.
time, bro.
I got you.
Yeah, man. So shout out to Dain, man. Join it. Y'all go look at the team you associate with, and you know what he talking about. Oh man,
Yeah,
I
it's a
appreciate you,
lot
bro.
going on right now, but nah, we gonna double back tonight for sure. But I do, and Richard. Matter of fact, I'm gonna screenshot the questions and definitely everybody double back because I see Richard measured against history the number one. I saw that. I mean, Richard had it because Richard also had a comment about what did Richard say? Because I wanted to talk about that. Oh, he was saying that Clutch has evolved. I don't know what. How did Clutch? Okay, if Clutch evolved, what did it evolve from? Because I would love to know that. So I want to
I think
unpack
it
that as
evolved from last second shot to like situational late game stuff. I do believe in the word clutch, but I do understand that it is so convoluted. It's very hard to pin down what people mean by that.
right. No, we can definitely get to that tonight. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna call you back for sure.
Yeah, do that, man. Go on, take care of business, bro.
I got you, champ.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, so appreciate y'all, man. Salute y'all checking in, man. And so again, this is the reality of dealing with guys who work for the NBA. Sometimes you got situations you got to adhere to, and I just want y'all to appreciate what go on this channel, bro. On this channel, man, I'm literally here for y'all to get insight. I want you to understand how things work on an intricate level, and not just be talking shit about what you perceive as true. And now at the end of the day, there's still perception. Dain works again for the. I know he works for the Suns, but even his stuff ain't gospel. But it gives you more insight. So when you're having these conversations with people, at least you have more insight of what you're talking about, and you're not just making things up because you want it to be a certain way because you have allegiance or alliance to a certain team or organization or player or what have you. So that's literally my whole point. I always wanted to make this channel about. And I hope y'all appreciate that. And man, and shout out to my man Wealth Engineering for the super chat, man. Again, when I had these dope conversations, super chats get a priority. If you want to purchase the product, again, shout out to my boy Lil Big Nate. Hit me up on the Cash App at $CFranks11 because it helps build a channel. I want to get some more avenues, get the green screen, get all that going. So your proceeds definitely help the channel out. And maybe around 5:30 my time, which is if y'all in Central 7:30 y'all time, we'll get Dain back on here because I think he really wanted to expound more. Usually he go about 3 hours, so I knew it'd be probably about a 3 hour stream. So just y'all keep patronizing the page. I'll put another link up if he tells me at least 30 minutes ahead. Come back on here, ask him what you want to ask him. He probably won't answer questions about that scandal going on in Phoenix, but you never know, man. He knows he's well calculated, so he knows what he can speak on and what he can't. So, I appreciate all y'all who patronize the channel, man. As always, man. Yeah, y'all keep this train running. Some days I don't want to hop on, but I got to at least give y'all about 3 videos a week is what my goal is. I want to up that to about 10. But sometimes I just don't be feeling it, man. But y'all keep me going, man. Real talk. Nothing is worse than being on these streams and nobody really on here. It does demoralize you a bit, but y'all came on this one strong, and I do appreciate that 10 times over, man. Y'all just understand, man. I'll answer this question before I hop up. What's your opinion on Ben Simmons and the Zion Williamson saga? Yeah, that's a great question. Player mismanagement to the highest degree, man. Well, I think Zion just doesn't want to be in New Orleans. I think he understands the tea leaves that he's going to go to a bigger market. Some guys just need a fresh start. I think they both just need a fresh start. Now, I know Ben is a little more stringent because they're trying to offer this man mental help and all this stuff, and he doesn't want any part of it because it's just done. It's like in a relationship, man, when you know, you cheated, the girl cheated, nothing good has come from y'all trying to patch things up. You just ready to go. This is like, no, let's not try again. Let's not go on a vacation and try to rekindle the love. Like, nah, I'm just ready to go. I think that's what Ben Simmons is right now with the 76ers. He's just ready to go. You don't trust them no more. You don't feel like they have your best interest at heart. And sometimes it's just okay to go. And that's what's going on with Philadelphia and Ben Simmons, in my opinion. Zion, I just think it never was right from the jump. And so you just ready to kind of see something new because it was never right. And, you know, his body's been going up and down in size. You know, I think he's always going to be he's always going to be a teetering 300-pound guy, man. That's just his frame. Because when you get older, you put more pounds on. You don't go the other way. And so that was always a concern about Zion because he's so explosive, but he was so big. And it's going to be really hard for him to maintain that weight, man. And Charles Barkley had a funny comment with him and Shaq the other day, talking about it looked like him and Shaq had a baby. That's what Zion looks like. And he ain't too far from the truth. He's a big old boy, man, and he's going to have to find a way to maintain that weight. And I think the best way is him being where he want to be, which I think is like a New York situation or what have you. But we will see. But no, that's a great question, Rap God. I appreciate that. Long support of the channel, man. I really appreciate you, bro. You always showing up. You always coming in with that fire. So, all right, man, we'll wrap it here. I'm going to try to get Dain back on. Hopefully that situation in Phoenix has more information and he can get settled in. And we'll have him back on here to continue this discussion. Y'all came with it with the answers. I'm sorry, with the questions, and I really appreciate that. And as always, God dog it. Look, KP, take us home.
And shout out to Hoops Jargon, man. I'm gonna add you to the crew, man. This crew called Hoops Jargon. They've been getting at it, man. They the ones that's gonna grill you, man, because they majority are Houston people. So that's
Shout out to Who's Jargon.
Shout out to Hoops Jargon.